Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast between Satiini and Dimaga. I believe this is game 2 in a series, and I don't know what it is best out of. Anyways, Zotac Power EN also leaving the game. I think he was causing a little bit of a lag. Anyways, Satiini spawning as, I guess this is more yellow than orange, but I guess that color's close enough anyway. So, as the yellow Terran on the bottom left-hand side of Kulas Ravine. Meanwhile, we have Dimaga spawning as that green Zerg on the top left-hand side over at that 10 o'clock position. Now, this game should be fairly interesting. I really want to see how Dimaga opens up and how he tries to do any sort of fast expansion on this map. Now, normally I would have assumed that Dimaga would have chosen a different map if he had a choice. So I'm not sure how exactly this was all built. Satiini putting down a barracks here, looking to perhaps put a tech lab here, and then doing a front door seal here. Now, if a drone does come out, a drone is able to block that tech lab, and that's one of the things that I really want to see a lot more high-level players doing, or just more players doing in general. If you're able to block block the tech lab addition, you really know that. At least in the early game, you're only going to really be dealing with Marines and Hellions. If you can perhaps delay that tech lab, delay those Reapers, it really works out fairly well. Dimaga getting for an early gas and now probably going to go for a 14 spawning pool. So 14 spawning pool and maybe trying to go for a quick tech to tier 2. A quick tech to tier 2 since this gas is already up. Now, not sure how that is really going to work out, and these little doodads just confuse me. I always think that they look like some sort of Zerg player, or I'm in Zangarmarsh in World of Warcraft. Anyways, Tech Lab now placed down, and we may start seeing, Reaper harassment. So Satiini using the Reaper harassment, a fairly common tactic, and now that I think about it, as Reapers are able to hide here and able to shoot down, really just harass a mineral line very, very easily. Overlord now coming into position. So Dimaga will quickly scout out this whole entire base, moving in with that Overlord, gonna see that barracks is there and figure out, perhaps gonna float that one Overlord right here, and already sees this first Reaper on the way out. So that first Reaper already on the move, as now SCV is gonna be moving in. Perhaps we're gonna see a little bit of a bunker harassment, not really sure. Already getting the speedling upgrade, so the speedling upgrade being produced, and we should see some Zerglings being produced as well, or being macroed up. Factory now being laid down by Satiini. So Satiini with that early factory, and perhaps we'll try to go for a little bit of Hellion play. Yeah, so factory all the way in, barracks being placed here. So the weak point on this front door is this tech lab. I would assume that Satiini will try to put some sort of supply depot here if he sees a Baneling nest being produced. Now in comes this Reaper. Now the Reaper here, this is one of the things that I think needs to be fixed on this map by Blizzard. Sometimes a Reaper sitting here will be able to shoot one of these Vespene geysers, like in this position. From here I believe you can shoot, or at least from here, or in some position. Actually, it looks like they fixed it, so I may be wrong about that. Okay. I may be wrong. I'll just have to re-look at some more of my replays. A dozen Zerglings now moving on out, perhaps to try to take down some of these SCVs. And in comes this Reaper. Reaper doing some micro, able to focus down, getting one quick kill on those Zerglings. And now those Zerglings have that speedling upgrade. So those speedlings are going to be running on through very quickly. Hellion should already be produced. Tech Lab already researching the Inferno pre-igniter. So we'll see how that is all going to work out. A Reaper is still moving on out, perhaps going to jump up and down onto that high and low ground. One Queen though, so that Queen should be able to fend off that Reaper fairly easily, as that Queen has a range of 3 and that Reaper has a range of 4.5, as long as the Queen is on the creep. And the Queen has plenty of does not have enough energy to do any creep tumors just quite yet, and that's really going to be a little bit of an issue. Zerglings going to run headlong into a very, very difficult build, and yeah, here comes those Banelings. Very nicely done. Barracks, another barracks being produced here. So this is going to be a failed attempt at a Baneling, essentially a Baneling bust. But if he's able to take down this tech lab before that Infernal pre-igniter has been finished researching, that is going to be absolutely, absolutely huge. And let's see if this is all going to work out for him. No, going straight for that barracks. Oh, one barracks completely taken down. And now Zergling's trying to do a run by all of those Marines. SCV is going to get taken down. However, that tech lab is going to finish that research in that infernal pre-igniter, and that is going to be absolutely huge if those SCVs are going to be able to just surround and repair those units. Yeah, now that those blue flames are out, those Zerglings are going to have a much more difficult time. Satiini losing a lot of his SCVs here. Looking at a harvester count, only down to 5 harvesters. That is a very, very heavy loss. Wow. So that Baneling bust was very, very heavy, but was still able to be pushed on through. And now that there's a starport being laid down here, this is not going to work out very well at all. We are now going to tech to tier 2, Baneling nest sitting off over here, and now Dimaga really needs to get another hatchery somehow. Oh no, and now using these destructible rocks to try to take down this back door over here. One of the issues with the Zerglings trying to take down the back door, they only deal 2 damage a slash because of those destructible rocks. Have 3 armor. Overlord still on the move. Perhaps we're going to see a tech in the Mutalisk, or perhaps I would assume Mutalisk, as there are so many Hellions already in play with that Infernal Pre-Igniter that it's going to be very, very dangerous to even try to go for any Hydralisks. Those Hydralisks simply just melt away to those Hellions, and much more so than the original StarCraft Vultures against Hydralisks as well. So Hellions will be able to deal that full 24 damage against those units. And now one Spinecrawler up, gonna get a quick slash, but those Hellions gonna be able to run around that backside, and all those Zerglings just getting toasted apart. So, and now in comes Satiini trying to do a little bit of counter harassment of his own. Zerglings were trying to do a little bit of a surround, but yeah, trying to surround 5 Hellions with Zerglings is just not that great of an idea. And now that Queen trying to run back in, needs to really be careful. That is half the production of the whole entire Zerg army right there. Spinecrawlers now moving on in, and drones need to be pushed away. Queen now taking down that death animation from that Hellion. So beautiful. Love the animation job from Blizzard. And now those Hellions just trying to finish off the rest of these 2 Zerglings over here. One Spinecrawler getting slashed right there. And now all this Hellion has to do is just perhaps stay off the creep, and should be able to continue fighting, but no, stays on the creep a little bit too long, and down it goes. Harvester count wise, we are fairly even. We are 7 minutes and 20 seconds into this game, and we are still at 18 to 15 harvesters. Nicely done by Dimaga. Dimaga using the Overlord spawn creep, or the spawn creep ability to essentially put a front door on these Spinecrawlers. So I really like this play. It's gonna help a lot to secure this front door. However, we already have Vikings being produced by Satiini, and Vikings are going to start going Overlord hunting in just a moment. Yeah, and there it goes. First Overlord already scouted out. Vikings should probably do a little bit of that move and slide in order to reduce the movement time that it takes, and down goes that Overlord. So one Viking already getting 1 kill there. 25 over 34, both sides playing with a very, very small army. Satiini sitting on 35 over 35, supply locked currently against Dimaga's 25 over 34. So both players just playing it very, very safe. Satiini wanting to make sure that there are no additional expansions anywhere out on the map. That is very, very critical, very, very important to make sure that there are no expansions anywhere, as a Zerg can easily out macro you if you do not contain them. Production wise, we now already have a Spire in place, 3 Mutalisks being trained up, and Satiini building up that already has the armory, and now getting Thors. So that 1 Thor will be up in time to really counter this. So Satiini playing a great game so far, just playing a very, very technically or constantly countering whatever Dimaga is throwing at him. Hellions still moving around the map. You want to see their actions per minute in the 192-115 range. So that's looking fairly good. Stay tuned for part 2 of this replay between Dimaga and Satiini here on Kulas Ravine.